All right, let's get right into it. We're not just here to ask some big philosophical questions. We're doing something a bit different. Think of this as a forensic audit, a deep dive into the source code of reality itself. We're looking for the one core principle that governs, well, everything.
You know, we're often given this false choice, right? Either the universe is just a total chaotic accident, or its origin is some mystical secret that we're just not supposed to get. And honestly, that feels like a dead end, a real crisis of intelligence. But what if that's not the real choice at all? What if the signal we've been looking for has been right there in plain sight this whole time?
So here's the big idea. Let's make a pivot. We're going to shift the entire framework away from blind faith in some unknowable mystery and toward a rational investigation of a coherent, verifiable system. Let's dive in.
Okay, so every good investigation needs a starting point, right? A key piece of evidence. For us, that evidence is a concept known as Sunnat Allah. Now, this is the bedrock. This is the one principle we absolutely have to get our heads around because it defines the very nature of the entire system.
So what exactly is Sunnat Allah? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like the universe's operating system. You know, the unchangeable code that's always running in the background. It's this incredibly reliable framework of cause and effect. And what that means is nothing, and I mean nothing, happens by random chance or some sudden divine whim. Everything follows a predictable, established law.
And just listen to the power behind this statement from the source text. It doesn't just suggest that things are consistent. No way. It guarantees it with absolute certainty. This is basically a promise of cosmic integrity. It's saying that the fundamental law of the system is completely, totally unchangeable.
And this is where the language gets incredibly precise, which I think is fascinating. It shows you just how deep this promise goes. The verse uses two distinct words, and they're crucial. First, you've got tabdila. That means the source code itself, the law, can't be changed. It can't be patched. Then you have tahwila. This one means its application can't be messed with. It can't be diverted for some special case. So think about that. The law is unchangeable in its code, and it's unalterable in how it's applied. It's completely locked in.
And get this principle isn't just about physics like gravity or something. This next verse shows that it applies to the rise and fall of whole societies. The idea here is that the laws that govern history, the consequences for things like a society's justice or its arrogance or corruption, those are just as fixed and predictable as the law of gravity. The system is universal. It applies across all of time to everyone.
Okay, I know that's a pretty big concept to wrap your head around. So to make it a bit more concrete, let's use a powerful analogy. Let's talk about the universe's architectural code.
First things first, let's just imagine the entire universe is one single, massive, incredible building. Every galaxy, every star, every little atom, it's all part of this perfectly designed structure. It's not just a random pile of cosmic junk. So if the universe is a building, then what are the materials? Well, that would be the laws of physics. Gravity, thermodynamics, electromagnetism, all that stuff. These are the steel, the concrete, and the glass of our building. And just like real materials, they have fixed, reliable properties you can count on.
And this is the most important part. If physics are the materials, then the divine law, the Sunnat Allah we've been talking about, is the architectural blueprint. It's the master plan. It dictates how every single material is used, where every wall goes, and how the entire structure works together as one coherent whole. See, you can't really understand the building by just staring at the bricks, can you? You have to study the blueprint.
Okay, so if we accept that, if the blueprint really is unchangeable, what does that actually mean? What are the logical consequences of living in a universe like this? How does it change how we see everything?
Well, for one, it forces us to rethink the whole idea of miracles. In a system with an unchanging blueprint, the idea of just randomly pausing a physical law, well, it kind of suggests the blueprint was flawed to begin with, right? That it needed a patch. But this framework offers a different perspective. What if what looks like a miracle is actually just a higher, more complex law already written into the blueprint kicking in? It's not a bug fix, it's a feature of a perfect self-operating system. It actually upholds the integrity of the architect.
And you know what? This framework doesn't fight with science. It actually supports the whole scientific search for consistency. Now, let's take a big one, biological evolution. From this viewpoint, natural selection isn't some chaotic, random accident. It's actually the visible result of that same pre-programmed, unalterable law, the Sunnat Allah, just applied to biological systems. The process itself is fixed. The outcomes we observe are the necessary result of that process playing out.
So you might be thinking, okay, a grand cosmic system, that's cool, but what does any of this have to do with me? And that's a great question, because this is where we pivot from the cosmic theory to your personal mandate. In a system like this, one based on pure function and consequence, the concept of sin gets a major update. It's not some mystical stain on your soul. It's a functional problem. It's systemic inefficiency. It's intellectual dishonesty. It's basically like knowing gravity is real, but deciding to step off a cliff anyway. You're acting against the known logic of the system, and honestly, foolishly expecting a different result.
And this gets to the very core of your role in all of this. You're not just a passive spectator here. You are an administrator, a trustee of this divine system. So in this context, faith isn't about passively believing in something you can't see. It's completely transformed. Your faith is your act of competence, your skill in understanding and managing your part of the system according to that blueprint.
All right, let's bring our little investigation to a close. After this audit of reality's source code, where have we ended up? What's the final verdict?
The final verdict is this. It's a massive shift in how we approach everything. The evidence of this consistent, unchanging system isn't asking you for a leap of faith into the dark. Not at all. It's inviting you to take a step of certainty based on principles you can actually verify and reason through. The point isn't that you have to just believe the system works. You're actually invited to verify that it does.
And that brings us to the final, and I think most empowering question. The ultimate call to action here is not to just blindly submit to something you don't understand. It's a direct challenge to your intellect. It's saying, study the blueprint, verify the system's consistency for yourself, and then, with full knowledge and reason, step up and assume your rightful role as its competent, responsible trustee. The audit is complete. Now, the mandate is yours.